Hello, I'm Cindy Arenberg Seltzer, President and CEO of the Children's Services Council of Broward County. Welcome to another edition of Future First, Focus on Broward's Children. Since 2014, the Children's Services Council and dozens of community partners have joined the national campaign for grade level reading to ensure that all of Broward's children are reading at grade level by the time they complete the third grade. Many studies have determined that up through third grade, children are learning how to read, and after third grade, they're reading to learn, acquiring skills that will help them succeed socially, academically, and financially for the rest of their lives. Since we joined the campaign, on this program, we've looked at different aspects of the implementation of the campaign. Today, we want to focus on the importance of the role of the business community, schools, municipalities, and the county in these efforts. Joining me today to talk about the campaign for grade level reading from their perspectives are Kim Bentley, Assistant Vice President of JM Family Enterprises, Bob Mayersohn, newly elected Parkland City Commissioner and a longtime community activist on behalf of children, and Nadia Clarke, Assistant Director with the Office of Family and Community Engagement with the Broward County Public Schools. Later, we will also hear from Broward County Commissioner Furr, who co-chairs the Broward Reads Coalition. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. It's so great the way the community has come together around the issue of literacy. You know, Nadia, I'm going to hold off on talking to you for a second because the school system is something that people expect to care about literacy. But JM Family Enterprises, that is not an organization that people would necessarily assume would care about literacy. So Kim, tell us, why is JM involved?
Well, JM Family Enterprises is a family-owned company, so we've always been inclined to give to children and families in our communities where our associates live and work. And we know that education is such an important part of that. And helping those children be successful early in life is really important. So when we had this opportunity to do some of the things that we're doing, we jump on it. It's a great win for us.
You are always there, whether it's the JM Family Enterprises side of business or the foundation side set up by your founder. We always know we have a great partner in JM and Jim Moran Foundation. Tell us a little bit about what it is you're doing to help support children at this stage.
One of the initiatives we've recently become involved in is the Innovations for Learning. So I think it'll be our third or fourth year of participating with that, and it's the opportunity where our associates who love to volunteer can volunteer right from their desk for 30 minutes a week by tutoring a first grader in their classroom. And it's a great experience. I've done it each year, and you really get to know this child and vice versa, and it's just a great experience to help them learn how to read and how to enjoy reading. So the school system works with us, and they put the computers in the classroom, and as an associate we would call in the number, and they have a child who's assigned to answer the phone, and they go and get your student. And then there's we're both looking at the same screen on the computer. We're not looking at each other. It's not like a Skype situation. And we're helping the child to choose a book to read and then help them go through the teacher has identified what reading level we should start with. And each week you're just watching this child improve their reading levels. And it's not only rewarding from that perspective, but it's also just that personal relationship. You know, asking the child questions and getting to know them and vice versa. So it's also helping them with social skills and becoming more independent and able to talk to adults. And it's just a great experience. At the end of the school year, we all get to go out and meet the kids and their teachers, and it's a great experience. So this year, we're doing, we have 70 associates signed up to do this. Wow. And we're in 5 first grade classrooms at Walker Elementary School in Fort Lauderdale, and then 2 classrooms at Royal Palm Elementary in Lauderhill.
We've joined that effort as well at CSC. One of the things that I thought was funny is how many of my staff who have graduate degrees were afraid that they wouldn't know how to do this, how to teach a first grader. And I'm like, really, it's not that hard. So for those who may be afraid of what it would take, talk a little bit about, it's really easy.
It's very easy.
If you can read, you can do this.
Right. And you know, you literally are helping the child to sound out the words. You're looking at the same page of the book and you're clicking the clicker to move it on. And you're just helping them to figure out what some of those words are. And it's interesting, you know, we learned about how so many children are not exposed to as many words as other children, and that how that's that holds them back in learning. And you can see that when last Tuesday, my little girl was trying to read the word click the camera, and she didn't know what that word was. And so just that opportunity to try to figure out how to put that in a sentence and figure out these words with them. And then there's also little games that you can play, tic-tac-toe, but it's all words instead of the X's and the O's, and hangman, that kind of a game. So it's just
my
trying to make it fun.
My student always wins. I don't know how that is. I figure when he gets it right, it's an X anyway.
Right, right.
Bob, you're a newly elected city commissioner, and the first act that you did was to support the campaign for grade level reading. Why?
Well, first of all, our city is very supportive of the campaign for grade level reading. I've been a city resident for 20 years, and when you look at our history, we started a library out of a double wide trailer. And now it's a full building. So our city, our residents are all concerned about reading. We have some great reading programs, a group of young students, young teenagers called the Parkland Juniorettes, part of the Women's Club. They actually volunteer once a week on a Monday, and they will read to their high school students, reading to elementary school students, and they love it. I mean, it's a win-win for both parties.
And you actually have the distinction of being the first city to pass a resolution to become a Broward Reads city.
Well, one of the things that we're looking to do is, and this is where part of the Broward Reads, and to let our community know, is the entrance ways to the city. We're looking to put up a sign similar to Tree City USA or environmental, so that everybody will see as they enter into our city that Broward Reads in Parkland.
Excellent. Neat. So excited. And Nadia, I was a little rude to you before by saying I was putting you last because the school system expects it of you, but you actually are responsible for a part that's a little different than what everybody expects, that family and community engagement. Why did the school system do that when it comes to literacy, and what does that mean?
Well, we recognize and honor that our children live in families, and families have unique needs. So it is part of our responsibility to engage the entire family, engage the community in support of our children's success, not just their academic success, but lifelong success.
And one of the things, I know we face this with swimming and water safety, is that when we wanted the children to go in the pool, some of the parents were afraid to allow that because they themselves don't know how to swim. And so we added, there are partners who do teaching for the parents to help them learn how to swim. I imagine in literacy that applies as well.
That is exactly right. We are fortunate to be a service-rich district. There are a lot of resources for families, and sometimes people just don't know that they're available. So we view our work as we're connectors to the community, providing either access to resources, information, as well as breaking down some of the fear and misunderstanding about how you can support your child with reading. You don't need to be a reader to actually support a reading child. So we're out there sharing that information.
About that. How can you?
Especially when you're working with younger children, if you have a book, a picture book, you can actually tell a story via the book. Look at the picture. Interact with the student, with your child, and say, well, what do you think is going on here? The goal is to really engage our children around the book, around the learning, really using critical thinking skills to figure out what the story is. It's also a wonderful opportunity for parents and children to spend time together in a non-threatening, happy way, and both end up feeling really good about the experience.
I know one of the happiest times for me, my daughter's 10 now, but when she was a baby, was sitting with her. Still today, actually, I love to curl up and read a book with her, but especially when she was a baby, and pointing out the pictures, letting her chew on it if she wanted, and it's a lot of fun. Before we pursue this conversation, I want to turn to Commissioner Beam Furr, whose passion and commitment to the issue of literacy goes way back, and his credentials are incredible. So let's hear from Commissioner Furr, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Well, I grew up in a family of teachers, and then my first job as a teacher, I actually taught dropout prevention, and that was in 4th and 5th grade. And I would have a class of about 18 kids who were not at grade level. They're in 4th grade, 5th grade, but they were reading maybe on kindergarten, maybe 1st grade. And I saw how hard it was to try to bring them up to grade level. As a teacher, I could work 12 hours a day. I would go to their houses. I would see in their houses there might not be any books. I'd try to work with their parents. And the hard part was, as hard as I gave it everything I had, but I saw that it was a tough battle. Let's just say that. And as hard as I worked, I knew that many of them were not going to be able to graduate from high school. And so it was incumbent upon, I recognized the need to start much earlier. By the time they got to 4th grade, it was almost too late. I'm coming at it from both being a Broward County Commissioner, a former teacher, a former librarian. I think I have a kind of a fairly large picture of things that how and where things can connect. And I think what I can do is try to direct and suggest where those points are and how to bring resources to those places where they're needed. Besides the fact that you want to make sure everybody reaches their potential, what we've seen with the statistics is those kids that do not reach their grade level by 3rd grade, 74% of those end up dropping out of high school. You are seeing a wonderful collaboration between the county, the Broward County Public Schools, Children's Services Council, Early Learning Coalition, and really just about every organization that deals with children and literacy. Everybody's on the same page. I think everybody's trying to make sure that by the time the kids get to public school, they're ready to go. And so you're seeing a push for professionalization of childcare. You're looking for trying to increase funding there. You're looking for when the kids actually do get to public school, you're trying to make sure every one of them has a library card. They're able to use those services. You're just seeing all hands on deck. And we're seeing some. Last year we actually saw the tide start to swing. We started to see a couple of percentage points of reduction of kids not at grade level. The private sector, the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance has this as, they have a thing called 6 pillars. What does it take to move a community forward? Pillar number 1 is talent and development. And the main focus of that is early child care. And having quality, it's not just having child care, it's having quality child care. That means having teachers that are professional, that have had a lot of training, and when you start to have that, and why that? Because the private sector knows that they need to have kids in the workforce that have skills that can do the jobs that are required in our community. For instance, we have a marine industry that is, second to none, and so that requires a lot of mechanics, a lot of mechanical stuff. But that in and itself requires a lot of reading capability to be able to read blueprints, to be able to read the background, all that kind of stuff. You have a whole technological group starting to come about, coding, all those kind of things. So the private sector is part of it. They're very keyed in on this. They know that to move this county forward, it requires a talented workforce, and that's what we're trying to make sure we have. We're asking every city, all 31 cities, to be a partner with the campaign for grade level reading. And many municipalities are already doing lots of things to help, but we're going to try to give them a lot of tools as well as a lot of suggestions as to how they can bring their own municipality along. How do you connect with the child care centers? How do you connect with the VPKs? How do you connect with the local library? What can you do to kind of emphasize those things? How do you strengthen families? All of those are part of the package. And every city wants to make sure that their kids are moving forward. Why? Because families want to move to cities where the school system is a good school system. That's, every real estate person will tell you that. So it's important for every city to make sure that they have what looks like a good educational network. I just want to say I think our county is moving. I think we're going to be a model for the nation in the way that we're collaborating with each other. I think when I first became a commissioner, I saw kind of a siloing. You know, everybody was kind of had their little silos, and it's hard to break those down. But the benefit of breaking those silos down and starting to work together, everybody is starting to recognize the value there. And once they recognize that value and they find that it makes everybody's job a little easier, then everybody jumps on board. So I think everybody's pretty happy about the momentum that we're gaining, and I think everybody wants to keep that happening. So I'm excited by that. I'm encouraged by that, and I think we're going to take this a long way.
I share the Commissioner's enthusiasm. In fact, it's one of the things that has brought me so much joy in this job for the last 15 years, is seeing the community come together around issues. Something that I've found that I think is again, one of the beauties of the Children's Services Council is that when we bring people together, we're talking about keeping your eye on the ball of the children. Mm-hmm. It's not about egos. It's not about who does what. It's about what happens for those children. And when it comes to reading, it's easy to wrap your head around. A child being able to read is a goal I think we can all embrace, and you three really demonstrate that. So here we are under the umbrella of Broward Reads. We're going to have Broward Reads in your city. Bob, are you going to become an ambassador going around to other cities?
Absolutely, absolutely. Put me on the bandwagon and I'm riding the bus.
I love looking around the room at our coalition meetings and seeing 40, 50, 60 people sitting around the room all caring about the issue of children's literacy. So how are you in Parkland going to reach out to the citizens? You talked about the sign.
Right.
What else do you see that your city's going to do and that you could encourage other cities to do?
Well, you have which is part of the reading program, you have the Mayor's Chess Challenge, which we're participating in. We have, like I said, a great library that does reading story time for preschool age kids, kindergartners all the time. We're out giving out books in the library. So that's how we're going to look to engage the community. One of the things coming up in January, I think it's the last week in January, is Florida Literacy Week. One of the things that we're going to talk about is how we go out and promote that in our community, whether we go to schools and read, whether we just do it at some community event where we actually maybe have some of the kids reading poetry. We want to get that excitement for literacy so that kids are not using their electronic devices as much as we all like to use ours. We'd like to get the kids to read.
Kim, the business community, one would hope, given the skills gap that they're seeing, would fully embrace this. But I'm not sure all of them yet understand how they can help. So can you talk a little bit more about how easy it has been for JM to engage in innovations for learning, what it's meant to your employees, and that it's really not a big time commitment, but has a lot of impact?
Well, and also I just want to touch on the Reads for the Record, because we did that, participated in that. And last year we did that when our CEO, Colin Brown, went and read at Deerfield Beach Elementary School and really enjoyed it. And 3 months ago said to me, am I going to get to read again this year? I mean, that's a sign when your CEO is leading you down the path of where we're going to do some supporting on early childhood reading. But I do think that our associates who, again, love to volunteer, that's a big part of who we are and are all on board. But this is such a unique opportunity for them to really see the child that they're helping and really have a full understanding of what their work is doing with these kids. And it's just a great experience. And I think that everybody I talk to about this wants to become involved, wants to sign up, either as an individual or several other businesses. So I think it's just a matter of getting the word out, like through what you're doing today, Cindy, and letting people know how what a simple program like this can do, what a huge difference it can make.
So it's really, you need 10 associates. They'd like 10 associates if you can, so that you can adopt a whole classroom. Your associates work for a half an hour. They can schedule it around their own schedule.
You can do it from wherever, at your desk, or if you're at home working from home that day, or in an airport. I've done all of those things. It works successfully every time.
And it's a half an hour.
Right.
Any of us can find a half an hour in our day once a week to help a child. And it really is rewarding when you move them up level to level to level.
It is rewarding. It's just, you feel like you can see and touch that you're making a difference with this child's life. And it's a great experience.
And that, don't forget the end of the year party.
That's the best part. It really is. Going in there and getting to meet your child, and it's just really neat. It is.
The hardest part for me last year was every week he'd say, "When are you coming to see me? When are you coming to see me?
Yeah.
Can you come over the weekend?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, but I'll be there at the end of the year party."
Well, it's those relationships that you developed. I was actually,
Yep.
pointing out, being Broward Reads for the record, I was actually in the community, and one of the parents had stopped me and said to their child, "Do you remember Mr. Mayersohn?" And the child says, "Yeah, he read in our classroom."
That's great.
For those who are watching who don't realize, Broward Reads for the Record is an annual event that really is designed to promote that love of reading. And we had this year hundreds of volunteers fanning out throughout the kindergarten and pre-K classrooms. And every pre-K and kindergarten child went home with the book, The Bear Ate Your Sandwich, which is a fun book with a little twist.
We actually took a little twist on the activity. We reached out to a few community partners and wanted to host an evening session, a pajama party for families.
That's great.
And we had one park agree to be our partner. We came in and we did a bear activity. Everyone got to create their own bear, and then they read, and we had this wonderful dialogue about who actually ate the sandwich.
Yeah, yes, it is. If you haven't read the book, I encourage you to find it, because there's quite the mystery there. A very fun little bear that was busy. So people who are watching today who might want to know, how do I get involved, either as a volunteer, or how can my child get some help if they need it? Nadia, from the school's perspective, what do you say? How can they get the help? How do they let you know that their child needs extra support?
Well, we definitely encourage communication from parents. Your first stop is your school's teacher, your child's teacher. Reach out and share, what your concerns are or what you're seeing. The teacher will then share with you, or can share with you, strategies. And if need be, we can escalate to additional levels of service. If you're a parent who just wants to give back and help, there are many, many ways that we can do this with Broward Schools. You can volunteer, you can be a reader in many of our programs. I do love the Innovative Learning Program. I was one of those. Every week, the 30 minutes was like the best part of my week. So we have a variety of avenues for people to join. We also encourage parents to be part of the SAC and SAF at the schools, so that you're actively aware of where we are and what are some of the challenges, and how as a community, how as a neighborhood, we can actually support our schools.
Bob, you've certainly proven that a community activist
Yes.
can wind up doing all kinds of things, Mr. City Commissioner. What would you encourage the citizens of Parkland or other cities to do to get involved?
Well, we're fortunate because we have a library. So we have that avenue where we can encourage families to get a library card, to visit the library, have kids read, pick up a book. But there are other ways. There's what's called the Little Library, where I know that there are a lot of communities, they started out in the Midwest, but even bringing it down to our Broward County, is a small little library, almost like a mailbox, where you have it at the park, where families can read, especially during the summer. As we know, there's the summer slide. So this way families can participate, maybe even at the beach. So a lot of those things can help out. And again, just putting a book in a child's hand. As you mentioned before, children reading even to a picture book. I mean, I remember when my son was growing up, I thought he was an excellent reader, because he would memorize whatever the words were, and you turn the page and you think he was reading, when he was just looking at the pictures that incited those words. So
Great. Kim, how about you? Any words of wisdom for your fellow business people or anybody out there who might want to get involved?
And I think so many businesses are getting involved in this issue, and I think the bottom line is just truly to reach out to those schools and see what they can do. I know several of the other nonprofits who have programs, Reading Pals and other things where you can get involved. So just make a couple calls and figure out a way to be involved.
It's great. You know, as I said earlier, we've had on the Early Learning Coalition and some other folks that you expect to be involved in literacy, but to see the cities, the parents, the business community really join together, this issue knows no bounds.
Right.
We all have to get engaged, and I should point out that we had some national consultants in helping us put together our campaign plan to look at what was happening here and put it together in a way that would get us certified as a campaign for grade level reading site.
Great.
And they said, having worked all over the country, that they have not seen any other community that has had as broad-based a coalition that is working on all fronts, preventing summer slide, parent engagement, early learning, and
Attendance, family
oh,
engagement.
attendance, right, thank you, yes. Whoa.
If you're not in school, you can't.
You can't learn if you're not in school.
All
So
day,
we're
every day.
promoting attendance, we're doing early childhood literacy, we are preventing summer slide and engaging parents. And no one, they haven't seen anywhere else in the country the focus on all four at the same time with the depth and breadth that we bring in Broward County. So you all need to be proud, and you need to be proud of the people who are with me today. As we've seen, we understand in Broward County the importance of investing in early literacy and ensuring that all children read at grade level. A vibrant community, a viable workforce, a brighter future for all depend on it. I want to thank Kim Bentley, Bob Mayersohn, Nadia Clarke, and Commissioner Furr. To learn more about the campaign for grade level reading and to join these efforts, visit our website, cscbroward.org. There you can also access our YouTube channel for copies of this or any other episode of our television program. Like us on Facebook, and remember to join us next time on Future First, Focus on Broward's Children.